Hello, Aries. Thank you so much for being here. And a big thank you to all of you who followed me over here. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. All right, Aries. So before I get started, just to remind everybody, I read from Sun, Moon, and Rising, but feel free to apply this message to wherever Aries is in your chart. And please make sure that you're only taking in the messages that resonate with you. All right, Aries, so this time you pulled Anti-Hero, Facade, and Parasite. This to me immediately was like breaking the rules of engagement within toxic situations. So Anti-Hero, this isn't just about you taking a risk and doing things outside the box. It's more about being who you are and fulfilling what your purpose is. So what I mean by that is when I'm looking at this, what I feel like is happening is you're dealing with a situation where you may be attached to someone who doesn't know how to be who they truly are without you. But then at the same time, it's like there's this enforcement of, how they perceive you, and you need to live up to that. But yet they wouldn't know who they are without you. Right? Now that's only going to be for some of you. For others of you, this is about having to be something that you're not in a situation that may have been, parasitic, right? Toxic, draining you. An anti-hero now is the opportunity for you to break away from that. And it's interesting because there's been this continuous message of who am I? Who am I really? How do I really see myself? And for some of you, it makes me wonder, especially with this coming up, if you haven't been in situations where you're being defined by other people. But again, with Parasite, it's like they don't even know who they are. So working with this card, looking at Anti-Hero, it says your individuality is a gift from the divine. You are the only person on the planet like you. You truly are here for a purpose, and you truly are needed here. No matter how modest this purpose, do it well with all your heart, and there will be no more loneliness. Which means that, if you've been in situations like that, it's like being lonely regardless of the fact that you're surrounded by other people. But that loneliness in this case would be stemming from the fact that, you're not allowed to be who you are. And that's where Facade is coming in. Now, the other part of this, though, talks about, healing childhood pain, which may be the cause of why some of you get involved in situations where there's this projection from other people onto you that you feel like you have to live up to. So the quote for this says, "This isn't who I am." The inspiration talks about if you're unhappy in your relationships, you may be relating to others through a false sense of duty. Give up being something that you're not. Now, the personal question talks about reclaiming your life, but it also talks about what have you done to heal your childhood pain. And then the key words for all of this is disassociating from yourself, reclaiming your life, healing childhood pain. And it talks about recovery and integration, but it also talks about play. So then, my question is how much of who you are has been suppressed to the point where there is no free expression of, the things that you enjoy, right? Now, Parasite, this really is talking about how toxic relationships share that poison equally. This isn't about one or the other. It's about both being infected by this. But because you're showing this, it makes me think you may be dealing with people in situations that, want you to be something else, but then also dealing with people who, like I said, it's like they don't know who they are without you. And it's bizarre. So the quote for this says, when the only answer to lack of self-efficiency is to cling to another. The sentence says, what can't survive alone will seek company, but instead of growing together, they will wither together. And I think that that's where Anti-Hero is coming in for you, where you're breaking out of that now. And I almost feel like not so much like an ultimatum, but needing to express that, this is not who I am. I'm being this way because this is what's being expected of me. But now I'm starting to see that in itself is very toxic. So the last part of this says the problem is not living as sheeps, but the true problem is living as a sheep for 100 years. So basically, how long are you going to continue to do it? But I think that for you, it's like, nah. I'm breaking out of this now. But I find it interesting because it seems to be like a reoccurring theme for Aries, really about finding, your own sense of self and individuality away from people and situations. So if you're dealing with a toxic relationship, right? And that's the other thing with parasite. It really does point out the fact that the best case scenario within relationships is continued growth. But if you don't see that happening within not only yourself, but the person that you're dealing with, then it's like, when is it time to break away from this, like, pretending to be something for the benefit of another? Now for others of you in terms of career, it's like you understand that it may be not really true to who you see yourself to be, right? Breaking the facade and breaking out of the situation. Like, especially with anti-hero. This would be a situation where if you're leaving a toxic job, you're going to make sure everybody sees, yeah, I'm not the sheep anymore. I'm getting the hell out of here, right? You're overall the Ace of Wands good, right? And this is what you need, especially looking at that. So the Ace of Wands, the new beginning, creativity, passion. This, though, and this is your overall, so this is the focus. It's all about creating a new start for you. But like I've always said, when it comes to the aces, right, they are the new beginnings. And because we live within these cycles of endings and beginnings, right, it is so necessary that we hit those points. But it's still up to you, right, to do something with this for better or for worse. But I love the fact that the overall here is about a new start, especially coming now into 2024, right? Your past, the Knight of Cups. Now, this could be about the way that you have acted in the past and how your emotions may have led you to take certain actions. Now, this could be about past communication of expressing emotions, wanting to share emotions, right? The messenger of love with the Knight of Cups. But in terms of the actions, it's about somebody who follows where their heart is leading them. So this could be something that's coming back again, where there may be this communication going back and forth between you and another person. And there may be a new emotional connection that's being reestablished where it may not have seen, any potential in the past, but here it is again because we're looking at the new beginning. But this could be about the actions that you've taken in the past with this situation. Very nice. So in the present, the Ten of Cups, happy home, happy life, right? The happily ever after. Feeling the fullness of emotional happiness and contentment. Now, because we're looking at the Knight of Cups, right, and with the Ace of Wands, looking at this, obviously it could have to do with a past connection that you have made with somebody, and now there's the opportunity to begin this kind of like, playing house, right? But I don't feel like it's a bad thing. Now, for others of you, you're following where your heart is leading you because you know that it's going to continue to create this very happy and content situation for you. And not just for you, but for your family, the people that you love, right? But we'll see here, because I don't feel bad about it, but I'm wondering, because of that Knight of Cups, if you're not looking at reconnecting with someone that you feel like fits into the picture of the happily ever after. Now, for others of you, right, again, it's just about a new opportunity to continue happiness within your life. And you may need to go back to this place of acting from where your heart is taking you. Okay, so future conditions, the Two of Pentacles. So this is the balancing act, right? It is about flexibility. But I can't help but look at this and think about, first of all, we're talking about decisions that need to be made. And with the Pentacles, it definitely could have to do with finances. For some of you, if you are following your heart in beginning a new chapter within, your home, your family life, some of you may be looking at buying a new house, right? Like it's something that you felt was right for you to do. But there is this, needing to not only manage what is going on within your home life, but manage what is going on with you in terms of your career. But there may be a situation here where you're kind of like playing two sides of something. Because I always look at this and think, you're still playing with something. There's something in the background of your awareness that you have not let go of because you're still juggling it. So you've got everything else under control, but there's this one thing. And it may be that you're trying to find a way to kind of bring this forward. But for some of you right now, you may be focused very much on the happiness within your home life. But I don't know. I can't help but look at this and think we're talking about passion being ignited here with the Ace of Wands. And at some point in the past, there is this communication, this offering up of emotions. Please share this with me, right? And then it leads to the Ten of Cups. But there's something else, right? Your best path to follow, the Magician. So this is needing to understand that you hold the power within you to manifest what you want to see. The Magician uses what is available to create something. This is also thinking much bigger, but this is actively bringing it into your physical outside world, right? So I really feel like this is a reminder of, be aware of what you are creating in your life and know that, you have the ability to bring these opportunities up whenever you want. Just because there's an opportunity in front of you right now, it doesn't mean that it's, I have to do this or I'll never be able to do it again, because you're just locking yourself into a thought pattern that you don't want to have, right? So I'm looking at this as you can create the new beginning whenever you choose. But be aware of what is within you. Because, having the tools that you need to create the things that you want, as above, so below. But it comes from within first, right? So what is it that you're working with from within yourself? And I can't help but look at this and go back to this Knight of Cups. But I'm still looking at this and going, right? Like, this thing is still there. And here your advice is saying, be aware of what you're manifesting. But it's leading to, the need almost for a new beginning in, again, either a relationship or your career. Oh God. Okay, so in your environment, the moon, right? The moon is Pisces. Now, a lot of people will look at this and say Cancer because the moon rules Cancer or rules the 4th house, right? But when I'm looking at Pisces in terms of Aries, in Aries rising, we're talking about the 12th house. This is the subconscious, right? It's confinement, it's asylums, it's prisons, it's isolation, right? But it's also deep, like spiritual understanding and connection. But because we're talking about the moon here, we're talking about the fears that lurk in the shadows, right? And every time I look at this, I can't help but think, just stay on the path. Quit looking into the shadows for things that are not what they appear to be. Because you're just projecting fears then out into your outer world. But because it's connected to the 10 of Cups, some of you may really feel like you're confused as to why you may not be feeling fully that happily ever after, even though outwardly it appears to be so. Now, for others of you, though, we could be talking about, confusion as far as what you need to do to manifest this new beginning that is going to help you kind of maintain this happiness within your home and your relationships, right? But it's so minor, but there's so much to this. And I feel like you're eventually going to lead to a point where you're starting to realize the things that you're still thinking about but have not really taken advantage of as far as manifesting it. But this is interesting to me, right? So there's a couple of different ways to look at this. But, to me immediately, it's like, well, I followed my heart and this is where my heart led me. Why am I not feeling the fullness of this happiness? Right? And it doesn't have to be just within your home and your relationships and all of that. It could be that, this situation was supposed to bring me to the happily ever after. And if this is what it looks like, I'm a little bit confused, right? Your hopes and your fears, the 4 of Pentacles. This, looking at the moon, I'm wondering if you're fearing that you're going to be giving up too much to make a different choice for a new beginning. Like this is fear of letting go of what you have. This is what I have. I'm not giving you anything. This belongs to me. That's why, it's the Klingon energy. I'm not letting go of this. And for some of you, going back to this, it's like I can't. If we're talking about a new opportunity within a career that should have been, where you were going to be for the rest of your life and be happy with, this is like, I don't know if I can afford to make a different decision to take a different opportunity here, because, if I let go of what little bit I do have, then is it going to leave me with nothing? But there is a facade here happening within what you picture to be as your happily ever after. Now, the hope here would be that there is nothing that you have to give up in order to take advantage of a new opportunity, but you're responsible for creating this. Because it's something that, you keep playing with. The idea is being juggled around with everything else that you're dealing with. And then coming out the King of Cups, and I'm looking at it like this, right? And we're talking about understanding the power that you have to create the new beginnings that you need. You came into this with I follow where my heart is leading on this situation. To now understanding how your emotions may have led you astray. And I only say that because of the moon being in your environment. And that is an issue with the Knight of Cups, right? It's being caught up in the emotions of the moment and acting on them. But in the long term, are you being led astray? Now, going back to this like going between two different things. Here again, we're talking about, you know, the need to communicate this, you know, these emotions, and this need to have a connection within that. You know, please share this with me, right? Extending the cup of emotional love, whatever it may be, right? So you have this, and it makes me think, because of this being in the past and this whole idea of the happily ever after, I think that, you know, you're really starting to question on, did you really make the right choice for you if passion is being reignited for something coming back through? And that may be where this, you know, emotional wisdom and understanding is coming through with the King of Cups, but this could also be the person coming out. So like literally juggling between two different situations. But there's an establishment that's going on here with this Ten of Cups in the present moment. But right? It's not what it appears to be. But I do like the King of Cups as far as your energy being projected outward, being a little bit more mature about, you know, how you allow your emotions to stray you, right? Or to pull you somewhere else. But it's interesting, right? The Ten of Cups is not what it appears to be, apparently. The Five of Cups, okay. The Ten of Wands. Oh. And this is where I think the King of Cups is going to be important in terms of the wisdom that you have gained through your emotional experiences. And it's interesting to me because, you know, we're talking about a lot of water going on here. The Five of Cups, and looking at this Knight of Cups, it makes me wonder if that connection was not made, or it was made in a way where it's not exactly as fulfilling as you may have originally expected it to be. For others of you, there's disappointment with not meeting that connection. And it may be coming back for a reason, which is why we're looking at a new start with this passion being reignited and the reminder that you create what you want. But there's emotional wisdom that's being gained through this, which is great. Now, on the other hand, right, this may be finally, you know, communicating something honestly, emotionally with someone that you've had a connection with. You, them, you. And finally getting to a place where, you know, there's this understanding, a higher level of emotional understanding of, you know, what happiness really looks like to you, especially within relationships, and for those of you who are like managing two different situations. Now, you may be dealing with a person, though, that is doing this to you because of that and the Seven of Swords popping out. But what's interesting to me is looking at the Ten of Wands, Ten of Cups, the Moon. This is carrying the heavy burden. And it may have to do with a level of deception that has taken place. Here we're talking about not being truthful about intentions, somebody looking to, you know, take what they can and get away with it, right? It's lying, it's cheating, it's all that horrible stuff. Now, on the other hand, though, if we're talking about you being disappointed with a situation where you should be happy, this may be weighing on you. And it may have to do with the fact that passion is being reignited for the opportunity to begin something new for you that may have been connected to the past. Because you're still playing with it. But the thing is the decision that's made, right? You may not be willing to express it. This is like working in the shadows, right? Keeping things to yourself. Not discussing what your plans are. But then there's also the question of, if we're talking about emotional understanding, it could be that you're realizing that by continuing to do this, it would require a level of deception to keep it going. And I don't think that that's something that you want to do. But I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at somebody who also, going back to the oracle cards, may have been emotionally manipulative to the point where you feel like you're constantly within the balancing act, having to juggle and manage a situation that has left you not feeling really good about it. There's this heavy burden that's being carried, right? And then you have this deception going on. And it may be that this finally breaks you out of constantly being flexible for the benefit of somebody else who is, more interested in clinging on to you, which is another possibility, right? It depends on how you look at it, but I'm looking at emotional maturity with the King of Cups, or intense emotional manipulation, where there is this need to realize that you are in control of what you manifest. And even if this is something that you're dealing with, it is a reflection of what is going on in the subconscious mind and what has been imprinted there, right? But I'm looking at you being very unhappy and carrying this burden almost in silence for some of you. So when it comes to how you see a new beginning that brings passion back into your life, make sure that the decisions that you're making in order to create that is not for everyone else that is living under this facade of this is what the happily ever looks like. Let me slow down. Because to me, this is, you're doing this for the benefit of another. And then going back to parasite and facade. Right? New path emerging, and I'm wondering if this isn't intentionally coming back in a way where you're really doing what you feel like is for you, is meant for you, not for the benefit of others. Strength and believe. So the new path, as it starts to emerge, you're going to have to hold on to your strength and believe that you are strong enough to follow the new path when it does arrive. But you create what you want. But if you have stuff going on in the subconscious mind that is now kind of like popping up in different ways, right? It's time to pay attention to that and what it's ultimately creating for you. But let me just tell you, if you're in a situation with somebody who likes to emotionally manipulate, clearly, you're not happy with this. It's weighing on you. But if you're looking at other options and you're having to do that within secret and within the shadow, there's something wrong there, right? It shouldn't have to be that way. And again, I can't help but feel like looking at this is that it's a toxic, parasitic situation that's forcing you to be something that you're not. Wowza. Again, it's not going to be for everybody. But, you don't, if you're in your happily ever after, you're not paying attention to tarot readings. You're experiencing that, right? Transformation, a fresh new way of living emerges. Okay. First light, beginning a new cycle. Transformation is going to have to happen, where you're no longer a part of situations where you have to be something that you're not, right? And the new cycle and the new path and this Ace of Wands, all of this is coming up because there may be something within your subconscious that is telling you that what should be a happily ever after situation for you isn't exactly as fulfilling as it should have been. So this is more so about the reminder that, This is something that I talked about, I think, with Virgo. When it comes to what you feel like you deserve, right? You exist, period. You are worthy and deserving of everything. There is nothing that you need to do or be in order to have the things that you want. And it's unfortunate how so many people spend so much time with this feeling of unworthiness. It's unnecessary, right? You are worthy because you exist, period, end of story. All right, I'm going to shut up. I love you, Aries. I hope that this message helped whoever needed it, and I hope to see you guys again soon.